Our last speaker of this session is another one of my Optimal Workshop colleagues, Peter Harvey. You can go ahead and share your screen, Peter, while I talk about your illustrious history. For more than 6 years, Peter has been working in product and software development, and during his career, he's learned the true power of when good user research is combined with exceptional data analytics. Currently, Pete is a product owner here at Optimal and is exploring the benefits of improving a product or service's information architecture to create even better experiences for customers. He's going to share with you his insights into how we can embed the IA discipline in as a normal part of product development. Take it away, Pete.
Sure. Thank you, Kels. Yeah, ko pere tōku ingoa, ko te mana tōku tangata. I te pua i te rohi o Kapiti, te mana whenua o Tiawa. Engari he mohi o ana te mana whenua mo tine rohi Taranaki whānui Ngāti Toa. Yep, so I'm Pete, Scottish stock, working here at Optimal Workshop as a product owner. And yeah, so for me, just like the talks we've heard today, I'm a believer that through intentional information architecture, there's a great opportunity to kind of build the products and services we work on in a way that better benefits the people that use them and help kind of meet our organization's goals. If it weren't for the pesky product owner, product manager like myself. So what I want to talk about today is why is it so difficult to get information architecture work into the roadmap? What are the barriers for people like perhaps myself adopting information architecture or across the organization, and of course some suggested solutions approaches. So have any of you experienced trying to get work into the roadmap and being frustrated, or you'd like to change the sort of product development process, let alone making information architecture just a normal part of product development? So for me, my experience has been, there's been like a lack of understanding, I guess has highlighted some of the previous talks about information architecture. Where there's a lack of understanding, there's no one feels comfortable discussing or debating it, which is a key part to how we're going to prioritize our work. At the moment, I think a symptom is that it's not considered part of normal product development in my experience. And then sometimes it's used retrospectively, like a whole bunch of work has been done, a great investment, a great piece of work, and then people are like, hey, we're going to need information architecture to actually figure out why we aren't getting the results. So let's shift from this sort of perhaps negative situation to a more positive. And I think a key stakeholder, a gatekeeper is me. Maybe arrogant, but I think I'll show why we might be a key gatekeeper to kind of persuade or to win over and how you might do that. So I think what's been highlighted through these other talks is, the internet and the web is about 34 years old, 35 years old. And information architect, practitioners have highlighted, key concepts when building. Words matter. Different words mean different things to different people. The same information could be interpreted differently again by different people. And spaces and places, they communicate things to the human mind. So essentially, for me, information architecture is about how the human mind works and building in this digital environment that kind of aligns with how human minds have kind of evolved to be. There's a great example about spaces where there was a study of tweets that came out of some train stations in America. So there was Penn Station and Grand Central Station, and the tweets that came out of them. And they're both serving the same task, I guess, of getting to a place. They had the same problems of delays and timetables and installations. But out of one station, floods of positivity and positive tweets and creativity, and the other is just negativity. And so that space had influenced the behavior of the users of that service. And so those kind of key learnings from this discipline are key for building today. I think the other thing that we have come to realize is that everything that we build has an information architecture. And the question is going to be like, is it intentional, or have we let it become slowly organic? And one of the things that are organic are weeds. And if you're trying to grow a garden, weeds can eventually choke out the very thing that you're trying to build. And so ideally, I think we want to weed our garden Sometimes we've built things for product or services, content. We've released content after content. And secondly, ideally, we want to plan our garden so that which is our product or our service. And because some things, like in a garden, you might have companion plants that actually work really well together. And I think the examples have really been highlighted in the previous talks. So as a product owner, I now understand that we need to be intentional about our information architecture. And information architecture is key for building for humans, which at this stage we're still doing. So why is it so hard to get it to be part of the product development process, or as a project or a key step as in our development? And again, coming back to moi, classic, the not so humble product manager, making it about him or herself. So here I just want to chat about briefly understanding the product manager and how to work with us, communicating, and then who's going to own and champion the information architecture in your organization. So for us, I think many people will know this, but I just wanted to do kind of like a quick refresher of like how we are making decisions as product managers. So ideally, everyone in the organization should care about information architecture. But if they don't, eventually you're going to get to the product manager. And at the moment, we're prioritizing work based on, trying to get slices or parts of the customer journey to build hopefully in an agile way. We're looking at data and metrics. We're linking the whole project to a strategy, or the initiative to a strategy. We've got user experience, design considerations, research coming in. We also need to invest in the engineering platform, and whether that's the architecture or the platform, or upgrading the technology we're using. We've also got a bunch of stakeholders that are vying for space, which might be a sales team, a customer service, other product teams as well. And then we have the C-level, senior leadership, that may want to switch the product's focus or the team's focus. They might be like, hey, we want to have a chatbot, or chat GPT is really cool. Should we build something? And we might be like, yeah, but let's just finish this goal here. Or no, this is not AI. This is just code that works logically. And yes, AI is good. But there's all sorts of things that are coming in from a senior level that we might have to try and navigate, if you will. My boss is on the line, so cheers, Kelsey. You're great to work with, no problems there. The other aspect is that all of these considerations are relationships. And so that's, I guess, my first point is, what is your relationship like with your product owner, product manager? Do they feel that you understand all the considerations that they're trying to navigate? And I think if you are able to have a good relationship, high trust, I think information architecture will just become a normal part of the conversation. So I think we're a key person to win over. I know there's a few product managers, product owners on the line, probably agree with me, but we can discuss this in the panel part as well. Like, what's your experience of this? The second one, I think, is my experience is communicating with us. I'm not saying that we are simple folk, but I'm saying that we are generalists. We need to be experts in product development, but generally we are just learning the basics or the principles around some engineering principles, design, some research, team facilitation, data, marketing, sales. And so it can be a lot to get across. And so the language, I would suggest, is important when it comes to persuading us of how important this is. So sometimes I get this kind of language. Hey, we want to do some discovery, exploratory research, including, uses ontology, taxonomy. We've got some modeling, key abstractions, concepts. We're also going to complete a heuristic evaluation. If it were to be in plain English, just to be able to communicate and quickly get what's going on, I would kind of think like, understand user problems, what kind of words they use compared to us. How do they make sense of these concepts? Because it could be different, again, for different groups of customers. And we're going to make some suggested changes based on best practice. My brain is going to be able to be like, oh yeah, cool, that sounds great. So that's point number 2. Point number 3 is framing information architecture in a way that we are trying to frame our problems. So strategy, how does it line up to what the company's trying to do? And I think Kat really touched on this on her talk, which was great. And what's perhaps the product strategy within there? Telling a story really captures people's imagination. And I think, again, Kat's one had some great stories in there as well. Ruth's one, and then Kat's with the raspberries, we can all kind of relate to that story. And that sticks with us. And then data. Again, what is the metric that we're going to be shifting and moving? So I thought I'd do an example. Hopefully no one here is from Amazon in 2002, but there's a lot going on in Amazon in 2002, and we've come a long way since here. I want to highlight, if anyone knows, put in the comments, your gold box. I don't know what this is. It could be a wallet, but points if you know the answer to that one. So this is the website. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot moved, but we will just use this framework that I've got here. So firstly, the company strategy in 2002 is they announced that they're actually trying to do something called bundling, which is when you buy a Gladiator, you might consider buying Spartacus or something related at that time of purchase. So we know this is what Amazon actually released. And so we know that the company strategy, one of them is to bundle products. And so the story part is, even before getting permission or talking to the product manager, do some interviews with customers, maybe trying to purchase a task and maybe it's a video interaction with them. And then are they considering bundling and why not? And then we make the product manager watch the bad scenarios, maybe a couple of good ones, like, hey, this part of your work is doing well. And here's some scenarios of people who could have bundled. And then speak to us with data, like, hey, at the moment, it's only 2% of time. And so that might involve that relationship with the data crew in your team. But 2% of time already sparks in my mind, oh, well, that's 100 million in sales a year. If we get a 1%, we're going to get another mil. So then we can just do a real simple plan. And I think the thing that product managers are most worried about is, what about, like, how much of my time is this going to take on my team until I really understand the value? And so you might be like, hey, Pete, we want to do some work with the customers on the information architecture for the bundling flow. What we think our hypothesis here is, like, if we get the information architecture on point, we might increase this bundling rate to about 5%. So steps we might do, we're going to talk to some customers, we're going to map out their ideas and the words they use, we're going to design and test some prototypes, and we'll involve you along the way, provide the results. And you might want to, if we get some really good results, we can run this side by side as an experiment. And I think you're going to get a really excited product owner or product manager and get them involved in the interviews as well. So my last point is, who owns information architecture of the product? And it almost looks like someone proposing here, like on one knee, like, I am committing to you information architecture. And I want to suggest that, this is a suggestion, like the design faculty or content marketing kind of own that. And I guess it's sort of partly to do with, as product managers being generous across all these areas. I think if someone's able to own it who is a specialist, there will be, a greater chance of adoption. And how, I think, is just through regularly reporting on it, regularly telling stories of the information architecture. So hopefully you've got you have like an all hands or a quarterly meeting or a monthly meeting. We might be like, hey, here's a brief little reminder of information architecture. Here's a story, and here's how it relates to a key workflow. And that's part of our strategy. Here's the metric. And so we're working on this. And then we'll invite people to come to the interviews or to the process, and then next reporting period evolve and do another one. And I feel like that will become to normalize the conversation in and amongst our organizations. So in summary, IA, as we all know, helps us when we're building things for humans. And there's a lot of principles that we want to be part of our normal product development. I think product owners and product managers are a key gatekeeper. Understand your relationship with us and what we've got going on, frame it, the way you communicate it. And then I think let's champion information architecture by telling stories in our organization. And if it persists, see your hopefully friendly product manager. Thank you very much.